Now, through the miracles of modern technology, zany worldwide banner featuring Tom, Michelle, and Jim in an on-topic, off-topic free-for-all. Welcome to the Gun Talk After Show.
It's the After Show where we gather and talk about stuff. And boy, do we have stuff to talk about. James is here. Hello, Mr. Kinsey.
Greetings, young man.
Where? Who just came in?
There's a guy standing behind you I thought you'd want to know about.
Yeah, no kid. You got to be talking to somebody else. It's not me. Michelle, I appreciate, I'm going to try to take that compliment, but I know better. Michelle Cleland is with us also. How are you, dear?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. I had a great time. I got to go up and have some cool weather. It was 34 degrees yesterday morning in Traverse City. Wowie.
Welcome to the
it was
UP.
90 when I got back. It was 90 when I got back to Louisiana.
It's almost the UP.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's near UP.
Yeah, up from where he is.
For him, it's the UP.
It's pretty far north compared to down here in the swampland.
Beautiful country, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I love Traverse City.
The leaves are very late this year, the color, and so we were catching a little bit of it. They said normally the leaves would actually be down by now, and there's still a lot of green and just barely starting to turn. So it was pretty
cool.
Yeah, chase some woodcock, timberdoodles they call them,
and they did
grouse.
better than you.
Yes, they did. Right? It was. Timberdoodles 2 and Gresham 0.
Just as nature wants it, huh?
That's just how it's supposed to be sometimes,
right.
But fun stuff. It's just, good dogs, and had a chance to walk around in the woods. We got some really good video. I think it's going to be pretty for the TV show, though. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We got one caller lined up. Todd is called in from San Diego, California. Hey, Todd, you have made it onto the after show. Congrats.
Thank you, Tom. Say, I was looking through a publication I get from the Cato Institute out there in Washington, D.C. It's their policy report. It comes out about every 2 months. And on the inside cover, they have the chairman's message, which is from Robert Levy, which you probably noticed the name. He was co-counsel in the Heller decision, so a guy who should know something about, gun control.
Correct.
And this last issue, with his title was Gun Control Grounds for Compromise. So I guess, my point here is I was a little concerned when the Libertarians are starting to compromise on gun control. And what was very curious was he goes through the three biggies, assault rifles, what he calls high-capacity magazines, and universal background checks. He makes a very nice argument against each one of those. But then at the end of each at the end of each section, he comes back with, but maybe we should revisit the 94 assault weapons ban, but tweak it so we just get rid of the ones that really don't have a lawful purpose. Or maybe we should look at magazines over 20 rounds because you probably don't need more than 20 rounds. Or maybe we should look at the Manchin-Toomey bill again and maybe get rid of the gun show loophole, which, of course, there isn't a loophole. But maybe we can get interstate handgun purchases or something like that as a concession. So I just thought, a lot of people like to talk about, the Libertarians, and I consider myself, leaning that way on most issues, but couldn't believe it when I opened up the cover and see that, they're talking about, compromising especially after having a very effective argument against each one of those and then throwing in a kind of a sloppy compromise at the end.
It's been my experience that people who live and work in Washington for years and years and decades become part of Washington, and they can't find their roots anymore. And to the point where the whole go along to get along, we've got to find compromise, we've got to seek consensus. Of course, that great line, consensus is the enemy of leadership. It's like, okay, but what's right? He says this is right, but we ought to compromise anyway. What was that? Now, understand that he was not a staunch gun guy when he backed originally the Parker lawsuit, which became the Heller lawsuit. And so he did that on libertarian grounds, but not necessarily pro-gun grounds. So it's important to understand that background. But I am disappointed, but not surprised exactly, just because I have seen so many people, and I mean even the lobbyists at the NRA when I worked there many, many years ago, where they say, well, we got a good compromise out of it. And I said, well, but we didn't win. They say, yeah, but we got a good compromise. It's like, to them, that's what it's all about. I'm going, wow, you guys really are not fighting the fight here. You're just kind of enjoying the battle. It's like, yeah, we're in the middle of it, and we're going to push this way, and they're going to push that way, and then we're all going to go out and have a drink. Wow. Just, so I don't know if that's what's going on here, but it very well may be. But you know what it does point out, and it's a good point, Todd, is that the labels have become somewhat blurred, almost to the point of being meaningless. Libertarian, conservative, progressive. It's whatever somebody wants to be, and then they can slap on whatever label feels good to them at the time. Hey, I appreciate the call. Yeah, guys, disappointing, but you do see that with people who are in that business of working with legislators, and they're always seeking some kind of compromise. Can't we move forward on this? You get tired of being labeled. Well, you just won't compromise. You just won't work with us. You just won't. You go, well, yeah, I'm not, because everything you want to do is evil. Everything you want to do is wrong. And everything you want to do is unconstitutional. And, oh, yeah, it also hurts people. So, no, I'm not going to compromise with you at all. But it's hard to stand there and have them call you names, and you get uninvited from all the parties.
I think you have a platform there for Gresham 2020.
Is that a new show like Dateline? Or is
No, that's your prepresidential run.
Wow, wouldn't that be something? Me in the White House.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Have a shooting range in the basement.
I don't
Take out the bowling alley. We don't need that.
Check. Yeah, the bowling alley's out. Indoor shooting range is in. And look, if they can do indoor skeet, we can do skeet in the Rose Garden out there. You know what? We can make this happen. We'll just put up a big old wall to catch the shot.
Keep those Secret Service guys on their toes.
That's right.
What was that?
Shots fired. Oh, wait. Shots fired again. Oh, shots fired. Oh, my God.
He ain't hitting anything. Must be Gresham.
He needs to get that gun fitted. Oh, okay. I could do some executive action stuff. Yes, we could.
We could. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we could make a lot of things happen.
I want to be on your kitchen cabinet.
Oh, my gosh. What?
Handle the plates and glasses and stuff.
No. You got to go back all the way. If you look up kitchen cabinet, for those who don't know, you'll find out what he's talking about. Kitchen cabinet was that Roosevelt did the kitchen cabinet? I think it was.
Yeah.
He had basically his advisors, and they called him the kitchen cabinet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, boy, that's a blast from the past. Oh,
thank you.
Good history piece right there, Mr. Kinsey.
Thank you. I'll quit while I'm ahead.
And the thing is, so much of the stuff we get is from the agencies. It's like this gun store owner, and Michelle, you could probably speak to this, where you got ATF agents coming in and saying, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do the full scale, go back 20 years, look at all your records, and say, what's going on? Says, well, we've been given the word, we've got to get as many licenses as we can from dealers. We've got to put as many of them out of business as we can.
That's just kind of a jaw-dropping moment.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
And that's without Hillary being in. Imagine the orders that will come down to the ATF from her administration.
Yeah, you can hardly wait.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. To me, compromise is just nothing more than limitations of our rights. So,
yes.
That's what has caused us to be in the predicament that we are today, because we've just compromised.
Well, if we're not proposing anything, then the only compromise is to give up something. But if we're proposing something and we compromise, well, maybe we'll take a little bit less of what we want, which is, okay, our proposal is going to be universal concealed carry. Forget universal background check. Be nationwide concealed carry, constitutional carry. Oh, but our compromise would be, if you have a carry permit from any state, it's going to be good in any state. We'll compromise with you on that.
Works for me.
But if you're not putting stuff out there, then the only way that you can compromise is to give up the good stuff that you already have and let them win only part of what they want to win in terms of taking away your rights.
So who's working on that platform? Who's putting that information or those compromises out there?
We're always on defense.
We play defense.
Right.
Who's out there saying, we're going to put up, well, actually, we do have some people in Congress who do things like trying to get the national reciprocity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We just can't get any traction on it. And frankly, part of that, a lot of that is because they know that it could never get through the White House. It would be vetoed, and the votes aren't there to override a veto. And we have this split in Congress right now. And, I will tell you, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen on this presidential election. One day, I think that Hillary, it's going to be a total landslide of Reagan-esque proportions for Hillary. And then I'll say, well, but who knows? There could be a secret, quiet vote for Trump. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think you think, well, that could happen. And I have people I know who say, no, man, there's just a lot of people who aren't, speaking up, and they'll vote for him. But my real fear at this point is if she gets the White House and the Republicans lose control of Congress,
we're done.
It's Katie bar the door. Everything happens. The assault weapons ban happens. Universal background checks happen. Gun registration happens. Gun stores are going to be put out of business. And all of that won't really matter if they say, well, you're going to be able to sue gun makers for the acts of third party that misuse a gun. Then the gun makers will simply shut down. They will close the doors, call it quits, we're done.
Yeah,
there are no guns to buy.
Right, and who wouldn't?
They can't. And people say, "Oh, they just stay open." They can't. Can't do it because somebody will sue them, and they will get a $5 billion judgment from some lawyer or some judge, and they will be out of business. They will file for bankruptcy and close the doors and sell it off, and it'll be gone. And everybody else, their insurance companies are going to say, "We're out of here." And you can't operate a business without insurance. You just can't.
You had said something earlier, Michelle, about compromise, and everybody's compromised. They want us to compromise. Compromise is a good thing. Well, no, it's not a good thing because
not.
Then the phrase, I'm in a compromising position would be a flattering comment, which it isn't. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, good point.
Well, and that's, to me, it is nothing more than a limitation of my rights. Every time you say that, you're wanting to take something away. You're not giving me the ability to do anything extra or do it the way that our founding fathers suggested it be done when they got it right with the writings of the with our amendments and our Bill of Rights. But it just, you're at the point where you're constantly, like you said, Jim, and you have too, you're just defending yourself. And that's what we want to do in our home, but it's not what you want to have to do every day of your life on the street and with the government and with the people that you elected to help protect you and keep those rights available. So it gets old. It just gets it gets really old.
It's very tiring. It does. It's you feel like you're always under attack, but the only reason you feel that way is because you are.
Right. And we're good
and
people.
Does. It wears you down. Right. We're good people. That's a great way to put it. We're good people.
Right. If the problem was the guns, then all of the people that own firearms would be at each other's throat and we wouldn't be in existence. I mean, if you just looked at it at that point.
I like the line that says there are 300 million guns. There are 100 million gun owners. If we were the problem, you would know about it.
Right. Yeah, we wouldn't.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on. It's what, 1/10 or 1/100th of 1% of the guns are ever used in a murder. Tiny fraction of them ever used in a crime. But that's what's used as the excuse to restrict our rights. And I always like when people say, well, that's not going to stop crime. And I say, stop. You're really missing the point. The argument that this is about crime is just window dressing. This is not about crime. This is about them saying, we don't think anybody should own a gun. It is a culture thing. And unless you understand that, you really don't understand the battle that we're in.
Right.
Hey, Tom, after break, let's talk about what you just said, because I have something that you're probably aware of, but maybe everybody isn't, and I think it'll kind of bring it home.
Okay, well, I'm probably not aware because I tend to be unaware of most things. It's my happy place. It's like where I have to be, So I'll tell you what, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and you can let us know what you're thinking.
Fans of Slip 2000 EWL gun lubricant will want to try EWL 30 this summer. The thicker EWL 30 sits up, migrates less, stays wetter longer, and will not dry out. Perfect for long-term storage. It also holds up better in hotter conditions while still providing the excellent high round count performance you have come to expect from the original EWL. Slip 2000. We're all about gun care. Learn more at slip2000.com.
The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle combines features of the Ruger American Rifle and innovations of the 1022 Rimfire Rifle to appeal to all bolt-action enthusiasts. It features a modular stock system that provides comb height options for scope or iron sight use, a power bedding integral bedding block system for outstanding accuracy, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, and a 1022 style rotary magazine for reliable feeding. The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
All right, we're back, and as we went to the break, Jim, you said that there was something you want to talk about with the whole culture war thing that I was talking about. What's that?
Yeah, I saw a piece that was presented, Wayne LaPierre doing an NRA commercial. It's about a 2-minute commercial, and it was real simple, and it just said that don't buy into this. They're trying to ban guns to stop crime. It's not about that at all. If Obama and his administration wanted to stop crime or reduce crime, there's hundreds of federal laws about guns. They could, actually enforce those. That'd be a novel idea. They could have tons of thugs and criminals off the street tonight. So it's not about it's not about crime. It's the ruse, but that's not what it's about at all.
Well, I've said for a long time that we know that it's against the law for a felon to be in possession of a gun. We also know that people get arrested for that every day. And almost never are they prosecuted for the violation of the federal law because the U.S. attorneys don't consider that important. But if you had an attorney general who told all the U.S. attorneys, this is now a priority. Every single time you have a felon in possession of a gun, we send them to the federal penitentiary. That's what we do. And word gets out, this is hard time. Federal time is hard time. That's not, at your local jail or something. And word gets out, and we're going to cut down on this. And even if we don't cut down on them being willing to do it, we're simply going to take them off the streets. But that doesn't happen if you don't have U.S. attorneys willing to enforce the law and prosecute people and send them to jail. Then clearly, to your point, Jim, they're not really interested in stopping crime.
So we go back to the theory that they allow so much to happen to be able to compromise on future decisions. Back to the conspiracy theories and all those ideas that are expressed out there that this is all happening for a reason. We let these people exist on the streets for a reason, but, connect the dots. Why?
You think that's giving them leverage to manipulate the public that's afraid of the bad guys, and they say, we must do something, so let's do this thing. We'll do a gun thing. We should at least try it. Can't you just compromise? What's the harm?
Anything's a good first step.
Yeah, anything's a good first step. Oh, yeah, we have to do it for the children. We have to do that. We have to always throw that in there.
I think Michelle might be coming. I may have to get her a official Gun Talk tinfoil hat.
Tinfoil hat.
She's starting to come around.
I think so. That's right. Custom made, I'm thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. Reynolds wrap.
We've got a new sponsor.
This segment brought to you by Reynolds Wrap for the best in tinfoil hats.
That's right. Absolutely. It's
just
good to question.
Because they say it's tinfoil doesn't mean
is it really
not
tinfoil?
That's right.
Well,
I don't know. Well, all right, let me ask you guys. Let's switch to the election. We are 3 weeks out from the election. We've had a constant week of Trump and women, with the media parroting this and carrying the ball for the Clintons. We know the Clintons have been sitting on this information for months, if not a year or more, and they release it all right now. It's an assault. What is your sense of its effectiveness? What's going on with the electorate? I mean, yeah, and I know, Michelle, you and I can agree that we wish that Trump was better at responding to this stuff, right?
Well, it definitely shakes him up. It puts him on the edge. It puts him on the defensive, and that's all he wants to talk about. And I just wish whoever the campaign manager was or maybe they're advising him to do so. I don't know. I'm not an inside person, but just switch the conversation. Turn back the question. Turn back all the allegations with the email scandals. Turn back conversation to Benghazi. Turn the conversation back to the Clinton Foundation and where does your money go and how do you accumulate it and how much is really given out percentage-wise. Just change the conversation. Go back to what you know is true and keep driving home that question of, can we trust this person? Is this a person that we want there? Look at what has happened. Look at the decisions that she's made and get the focus off of you. Quit talking about the scandal.
2 months ago, I said, if he will talk just about her, he will win the election. And if he talks about himself, he will lose the election. And all he's doing is talking about himself. He's got to learn the bump and run. And we got the last debate coming up on Wednesday. This is a do or die. I think he is truly losing badly right now. I think his base hasn't moved. They haven't left him because of this. But that core, that group in the middle, whatever it is, 10% or so, they have backed away from him because of this. If he just cannot take the bait, and he's got to just say, we have more important things to talk about than something I may or may not have said 30 years ago. Let's move on to the important stuff and go right into the heart of the matter. If he can talk about that and talk about her and talk about her crimes, that's a win. But if he gets sucked down that hole of trying to defend himself, and the only way he knows to defend himself is to attack other people, he loses, and I think he loses in a monstrous landslide.
Not to disagree with you on the first part of that, Tom, but don't you think that the people that are turned off by him now that supported him are offset by the thousands of people that are giving up on Hillary, too? After all this stuff keeps coming out, they're getting bombarded. At some point, they're fading out.
No, I don't think so.
But I don't watch a whole lot of television. I don't watch a whole lot of news presentations or anything. So, at our store, we have TV, we have the news, that kind of stuff is playing. Every time they open up the news, they don't open it with the Hillary scandal. They open it up with a Trump scandal.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then maybe a little bit, sound bites further, they talk about the Hillary WikiLeaks. The same thing is shown with the commercials, though, too, because they're trying to change female, I think specifically, going after that female or that mom voter.
Absolutely.
That this is her behavior, this is how he treats women, this is what he thinks of women. And at the same time, she's running these great, I've always been for the children and the kids and the family commercials. And they just tie in. It is well planned, well orchestrated, and we've got to shift the focus. We have got to get back to what our founding fathers said our country was supposed to be. They got it right, not what your version is.
People should understand that you're seeing different commercials than people in the rest of the country because you're in Ohio. And I was just there 3 days ago, and I'm watching TV. I'm going, holy cow, look at these commercials. We're not seeing these where I live. And you're right, Michelle. They are hitting this whole thing of showing the Donald Trump talking about women and, Hillary is just so wonderful with kids and people and women and everything. And it's so obvious what they're doing. But I will also tell you, I think it is also obviously effective. I think it is very effective. Yeah, if you're a Trump supporter, you're not going to support Hillary. If you're a Hillary supporter, you're not going to support Trump. But if you're in the middle and still, you're going, it just makes me uncomfortable when they show the stuff about Trump. And her stuff is comfortable, and I think it's effective. And if he can't knock one out of the park on Wednesday, I think he's a goner.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong, too. I hope. Now, here's the other part. That doesn't mean we don't vote. We vote for him, but also, maybe even more importantly, we vote to preserve some balance in Congress. And you may not like the Republicans, but you've got to have the balance. Because if she's in the White House, you've got to have something that stops her in Congress. So, it's ugly, and quite honestly, I have never said this before, but it is frightening. The idea of her in the White House with her really strong views about guns and gun owners, now we're reading all this about the WikiLeaks where she says, well, we want to have open borders. Basically, she would like the U.S. to kind of cease being a country and we would just be part of the world.
Yep.
And that's very much an extension of what Obama said when he was running. He said he was going to fundamentally change America. Well, he's gone a long way toward that. She wants to take it the rest of the way, basically to eliminate America.
Yeah, that and the UN stuff combined is all the globalist stuff that people have been talking about, but they've been whack jobs for the past 10 years talking about it, and now it's come to pass. And
that's one of the other things that's never been discussed. That has never come up in this campaign.
Globalism?
Yeah. Well, in the Small Arms Treaty, the fact that it's signed, I mean, we were talking about this years ago. You've been talking about it for a long time, Tom. Mm-hmm. And, it's not discussed. Why isn't it being discussed? Why, our society they may not even know because the news has never said, hey, we're part of the Small Arms Treaty.
Right. People don't know that.
They're all in the bag.
Right. So to me, these are the points. It needs to be A, B, C, D. These are your bullet points. This is what needs to be hammered home.
Right. I've often said that one of the toughest jobs in the USA right now would be to be a groomer for Trump.
Oh, gosh.
Because he's so, and that's what a lot of people like about him. He's his own man, and I get that, and it's tremendous. He's not presidential. Although, between the first debate and the second debate, somebody talked to him because he had a handle on it, or a better handle on it, let's say. So
he was better. He was still bad, but he was better.
Well, he's Donald. I mean, you're not going to get rid of all that. And again, that's part of the allure of
some
him.
of what people like. Right.
And that's kind of
I understand that.
It's kind of a sad take because he's not a real gentleman, so to speak. And so many millions of people are behind him. Take him out of the equation. They're voting for somebody who's not everybody else. So he's going to he's destroying the Republican Party, which may not be a bad thing. You know what I mean? I mean, if that many people are that disillusioned that he can have the strong support he does have, I still think he's going to pull it out. I'm going to be an optimist. Yeah, I've got to be. I can't just be negative and say, he's probably going to lose.
From your lips to God's ear, I sure hope so, man. Yeah. That would be, and here's the thing. I don't know anybody who's going to feel really fabulous about that, except that, on the gun issue, it would be a salvation. Do I think that he's going to be perfect? No. Reagan wasn't perfect. Bush wasn't perfect. None of them are perfect on guns. I mean, Reagan shafted us. Bush shafted us. And I think Trump will shaft us. But I know Hillary will, and to an extent like 1,000 times worse. So it's...
if you're a gambler, do you go with the sure thing or the maybe?
Yeah, that's it. So, exactly.
That's why I'm voting Gresham 2020. I'm telling you.
So what do you got against me? What did I ever do to you? Jeez.
He's got sound bites waiting.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Well, let me tell you, in my administration, first thing we're going to do is get rid of the background check, period. We're going to go back to pre-1968. No such thing as a licensed gun store. No one has to get a federal license to be able to sell a gun. You don't have to ask the FBI for permission to buy a gun, and on and on and on. And I know. I wouldn't last long, but there you go. Problem is, I couldn't put up with the process, the 2 years or 4 years it takes to do the campaigning, because I just don't care about the power. And you've got to lust for the power. That's what drives you for that. And of course, she's been running for 30 years.
Right. I just think it'd be cool to see you training with the Secret Service detail. No, guys, you got it wrong. It's like this. Try this technique. No, that's good, but try this.
So here's the question. If I were president, would they let me carry a gun? If I'm president, I get to do whatever I want to do.
Executive order. You're going to carry.
That's right. It's a very short time until this election. People are voting right now. I mean, in a great many states, you can go vote today.
God, I wish I knew what kind of safeguards they have on that, if any. You got somebody opening up an envelope saying, okay, this is a Clinton vote. I'll mark Clinton.
Oh, gosh,
how do they go? They have 3 people go over that stuff and make sure they're all on the same page? Ugh, it scares me.
Just if people were wondering, yes, you put the hat on.
Yes, I did. I'm getting one. It's not even going to be tinfoil. It's going to be solid aluminum.
That's right. You're going with the industrial size right there.
That's right, aluminum pith helmet.
Heavy plate, armor plate. Right.
Diamond plate.
I think there's enough question that has been raised around voting and enough issue that's happened around it that people are concerned. They're wanting to know. They're wondering. And if they are talking to a lot of people that are sharing the same viewpoints as them, and yet we aren't pulling ahead in the polls, they have reason to be suspicious. You know, you have the right to question.
I can tell you this. One thing I do know for sure. If she gets elected, within days, you won't be able to find an AR-15 on the shelves.
Oh, no doubt.
It's true.
I mean, within days. So if anybody's thinking, yeah, I've always wanted to get one, or maybe I'm going to get another one, you got 3 weeks. Because, I mean, do you think I'm overstating it, guys?
I think you're spot on.
No, but I would pose to you for those people to vote the correct way to preserve those rights for their children and grandchildren, not to just react. But
I agree. But there's no downside to getting a gun now.
Right.
But you also have to vote, and you got to take your friends to the polls, and you got to do everything you can to make sure that everybody's voted.
Yeah, the limitations that are going to be put on to us are going to be crazy. Yeah, they might not come door to door, but they'll find ways to limit the purchase of anything
and
in the
ammo
future.
And everything else.
You know, and of course, as I have said, they don't really have to go door to door. What you do is you just say, okay, it is
what New York did.
10 years in jail for first offense for having a non-registered gun. And there's a $10,000 reward for anybody who turns in somebody who has a gun that they have not registered. Okay, it's done. You know, because anybody who knows you have a gun is going to, or somebody's going to turn you in. A neighbor would. It's not difficult. They don't have to do the door-to-door.
Right.
They will just simply make everybody comply. They will make it so frightening, and people are going to say, I'm not going to go to prison for 10 years. I'm not going to leave my family out here without a breadwinner. You know, it's just, there are 100 ways to do this, and actually to set it up in a way that makes, not everybody, because some people are simply not going to, but to get 90% compliance. There really is. There are a lot of ways to make that happen.
Vote early, vote often.
There you go. It's the Chicago way. Okay, and on that happy note, you need to go out and talk to your friends, get this thing going. I mean, if ever there was one for all the marbles. You know, I tell you what, you go in, open your gun safe, and look in there and say, okay, is this stuff important to me? Are my rights important to me? Are my kids important to me? Better get on board. Because it is amazing. I'm getting emails every day from the Everytown from Gun Safety, Americans for Responsible, whatever the heck it is, the Bloomberg groups. The one I got today talked about this case in Connecticut where the judge just threw out the case against Bushmaster on the Newtown shooting and said, we've got to repeal this law. You know, help us repeal this law so that we can sue gun makers.
Yeah,
this is just constant drumbeat.
That came to pass because precedent had been set. Why did they even hear the case?
Their lawyers came up with an interesting twist on the law and found another way to approach it. And the judge says, no, that's not going to work. But now they're going to appeal that and take it to another court. Once again, getting us to who's president, who appoints the judges, what kind of judges do you have? Because this is likely not going to make it to the Supreme Court. A lower court judge will make the decision, and that will be the decision. So, you know, there you go. So once again, it's the Supreme Court and it's the judges beyond anything else. And not that everybody doesn't know this, you know, and we're preaching to the choir. I get all that. We need all the members of the choir to get out there and work on it. That's right. Not just vote, but to work on it. Meantime, I'm going to go buy some more guns. I did something I'd never done before. I bought some stripped receivers.
Did you?
Yeah. Now I got to figure out how to put them all together.
Road trip, Michelle, road trip.
Road trip.
We're taking a road trip.
Brownell's AR-15 builder, right?
That's right.
That's right. Go to their website because they got it. But yeah, I bought some stripped receivers and I said, I'm just going to put them on the shelf. Maybe it's crazy, but it doesn't hurt anything to have them.
Amen.
Well, guys, I will chat with you next week, and we will be pretty darn close to the wire at that point. We'll have the debate to talk about. We will have whatever the media sprinkles out this week. It's going to be fascinating to watch how this develops. If you could watch it and not be so involved with it, it'd be very interesting. But because we're so involved and we have so much at stake, it's just nerve-wracking.
Go, Wiki, go.
Julian for president.
No doubt.
See you next week, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Tell your friends about the Gun Talk After Show, a more informal setting featuring Tom, Michelle, and Jim commenting on topics that are important to you. Available on iTunes and other podcatchers, and the Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android.